Hello, 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 and welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where you can come here first to quench your reality thirst, and where we put the tea in reality, period. I'm your girl, Lana, your resident diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea, because you know I love me some tea. So if you have the tea, you know what to do. Hit me up, period. And today I'm drinking water, just water. Stay hydrated, people. But I'm drinking water out of my beautiful cup mug. Yes, 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 yes. And you know you want to be a part of the cup family. So you know what you got to do? You just need to go look at that down there. Go check out the merch link. Get this
Etsy shop.
at my Etsy shop. Get all your cup merch. And we also have a cup hat if you know, a brand new cup hat out there. So there you go. Be on the lookout for more cup stuff and other items on my Etsy shop. So check it out. Bye, bye, bye. Period. So we have our guest today. So introduce yourselves. Yay.
My name is David, and this is my first time joining this season, so I'm excited to bring some different opinions to the show and maybe get in some debates. We'll see how it goes. And I am drinking also water out of a water bottle, or as they say in Australia, water bottle.
Mm, mm.
Water bottle.
That's what they say.
Yeah, they say it weird.
Period.
And it's your girl joining you back again for another week of Standing Simon. Me, it's Ashley Keaton here. I'm so excited for another week of Survivor Australia. I feel like it's been 3 weeks since this week has happened. A lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. We get into merge, and we're so excited. What am I drinking? I actually have some chai tea, some iced chai
Ooh.
tea. So
Not,
I'm hoping not to spill the tea this time, but we will be spilling.
we'll
figurative
be
tea.
spilling some tea, but not your
Not
tea.
my tea.
Oh,
We
Yeah.
love that. We love that. So let's just get right into it. I think this is week 3. Am I right? Is it 3
oh
weeks or
no, this is
4?
week
5?
5?
5.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I think we're
look
on
at
week
me
5.
not knowing what week it is. But I know what episodes we're doing today, period. 13, 14, and 15, episode 13, 14, and 15 today. And it seems like this was a lot going on in these episodes, y'all, because we had merge happen at one point this time. At this point, a mutiny happened at this point, and jury happened at this. It was a lot going on in these episodes, so we're gonna dive right in. We're gonna start with episode 13, which they call "Smooth Criminals." By the way, that was the title, I guess.
They have a
Um,
title?
they have titles.
Who
They have
knew?
titles. Smooth
Oh.
Criminals. So wait, was that? Yeah. So yeah, we had the mutiny happen before, and Liz joined. We know. I think that ended the last
Yes.
episode 12, where Liz joined. So after the mutiny happened, and everybody, the Spice Girls were so happy because the Spice Girls were united and they were excited, and it was like great. Now we're going to run this tribe like we've been running the tribe, and yeah.
My thing about the Spice Girls reuniting, I love that they're reunited, right? But
Mhm.
the thing that for most of the season is they're so obviously aligned. Like it's so obvious that they are working together. And it drives me insane for someone who wants to try to hide my alliances, like hide who I'm most loyal to. Like they're like parading it around, which happy for them. So happy for them. But like, girl, you're gonna get boom, boom, boom. Like people are gonna figure it out, right? Like, I don't know.
You
That's my
would
one.
think. You would think that people would figure it
Yeah.
out. You just be
Well,
like, we got to go after.
I think the problem is the villains camp was so divided that there's no way they could keep it a secret anyways.
Mm.
Everybody knew where they stood, so for them to even pretend probably wouldn't help them. Plus, I really think they had to expose themselves when George, uh, during the auction, he had to pick Shawnee and Liz to go with him. But he had to do that if he wanted to keep advantages on their side. So I can't
Mhm.
blame him for making that call.
No, it's T. I don't know. Like it's like the second time that they
Mhm.
publicly picked each other. I'm like,
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I understand why he had to if he wanted to keep the event, but I was like, you could have made some really good like alliance if you would have picked somebody who wasn't close. You could have pulled more people in.
True.
If you would have picked somebody who you weren't already aligned. Like, I'm not gonna pick the people I'm already aligned with. We already aligned. Why do I need to pick you for a prize when I can pick somebody who I'm not really aligned with and get them on my side? And it's like
Yeah.
we can build up our numbers. But
I do think this is something that is a little bit different with Australia in that those type of things, there's just always an idol there. So
mhm.
so that's why I think it's more in your favor to take your close allies. So you
Yeah,
don't risk like, oh, I'm gonna bring over Paige who I've never met and
right.
she gets an idol
He
instead
gets
of
the
you.
idol, right.
So
I understand that too. So Liz is talking, getting all the spilling all the tea to George and Shawnee, letting them know what was happening on that other camp. Let them know that Nina and that they were going to blindside Haley, and if they lose, and they're going to try to get Haley out. George, of course, does not want this to happen because George has been working all season long by telling Haley things, trying to get Haley in the game so Haley could come to his side when they finally merge. That whole intercrossing of tribes they've been doing. So I find this whole thing funny. Like, we've seen tribes talk and helping, and it seems like it's been a lot more this season. Like, it seems like we're going to just blatantly, hey, I'm telling you a secret, so and so and so. It's just, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
yeah.
I
Not
think
as blatant and not as much.
International Survivor, I think, is very much more Matt talk happy and to show because in South
Mhm.
Africa and in Australia, they do a lot of Matt talk strategy swap really quick. I think it's more of an international thing from what I've understood the last few
Mhm.
seasons.
That makes
Mhm.
sense. Also, I think it's just been so relevant to the storyline. They probably
Mhm.
wouldn't be showing us that if it didn't have some sort of payoff. So
Yeah.
it's actually been one of my favorite subplots of the season is seeing George constantly trying to help out Haley because you don't really see it the other way around. So this whole season, I'm like, is Haley even going to be loyal to George? Like, sure, he's helping her out, but is that reciprocated? So I was very intrigued by how this was going to happen with
Mhm.
Liz making allies that were right against Haley there. So I
Yeah.
was like, what's going to happen?
I mean, I like it, and I feel like I would, if I was in Haley's position, I would just definitely be soaking in all of it. Just give me all
Mhm.
the information, give me all the tea, and she gave like little bits of tea, like when he was like, "Do I trust Jerry?" She was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, trust Jerry," blah blah blah, which set Jerry up and George into this whole tight alliance. So like, she gives him little bits and things that she knows, and then now we'll talk about later how it's paying off, but
Mhm.
it's just I just never seen it before, and like I said, I don't watch a whole lot of international survivors, so I wouldn't know. But I've noticed that more with this season, which and I don't I'm not mad at it. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think it
And
shows they're human.
yes, yeah, yeah. It
I
shows
agree.
they're human, and it gives them another, like you said, another subplot in the story to what's going to happen. Is this going to be reciprocated when they do finally get together, if they get together, but all of that.
Right. And I do
But
want to throw out, since I have not been on this podcast yet to talk about Australian Survivor, I just want to add some context of my views. So we saw George and Haley play in Brains versus Brawn, which Lana, you have not seen that season, but it up until now has been my favorite Australian Survivor season. And that's largely because of George and Haley. I think almost anybody would say that those were the two biggest strategic forces of that season, for better or worse. Like, not everybody will say George played a great game, but he was a huge strategic force in that game. And you just never see the two biggest players make it to the final two together. And they were my two favorites. So, like, it was euphoria for me seeing them get to the end together. So, I'm a huge fan of them both. And I got very nervous going into the season because George was playing up this rivalry. And I'm like, oh, they're both going to go early. So I have been absolutely loving this season and getting to see both of them play for so long.
Oh, cool. All right. Oh, all right then. Here we go. So Flick feels a little like she's in a situation here. She don't know where she stands with this tribe. She doesn't really understand what her place is. So she decides that she's going to bump up her social game with the girls. She's gonna talk to Shawnee. She's gonna talk to Liz, and she's gonna get this girl gang going on. And I'm like, here for it. Great. And she was doing a great job with them. Like they were like in it. Like, dang, more girls, more of us. We're gonna do this thing. And they didn't want her to go. She shifted them away from Flick, from her, to possibly Matt going out. And I was like, okay, I see you, Flick, do your thing. But George, on the other hand, was like, no, 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 no. I don't trust Flick. I played 48 days with her, and I don't trust her. She got to go. And so he got Jerry and Stevie both to say, yep, it's got to be Flick. We don't trust Flick. Flick needs to go. If something happens, it has to be Flick. And at the beginning, before Flick worked her magic on Shawnee and Liz, they were pretty happy with sending her home too. It was like, but I don't know. So the reward challenge happens. We get to the reward challenge, and George goes and makes sure he talks to Haley during this reward challenge. More Matt talk, like we talked about, made sure Haley knew that Nina flipped on her and is going to vote her out. Now, this is where my problem with George comes in at this moment, for this point. Not for the whole time, but I'm like, now why you go call out Nina for flipping on Haley when Sam and David was in the same situation and said the same thing? Like, why is it just Nina flipped on you? Like, sir, why didn't you say David flipped on you, or Sam flipped on you, or, well, not Sean, because Sean didn't do it, but why did he say any of those? Why was it Nina? Like, okay, and y'all know, anybody who watch the podcast I'm on, I am a Nina stan. I am here for Nina at all costs. I am all the way down for Nina, period, point blank, and the period. Like, I ride 10 toes down for Nina. So anything going against Nina, I'm looking at you like some side on you. So I don't understand why he had to pull it. Why was it just Nina?
Fair.
That was my thing.
Based on what we saw, who would you give credit to for trying to flip the vote on Haley?
I don't remember.
It was Nina. It was Nina.
Was it Nina?
Oh yeah, it was Nina's call to do that.
I thought it was. I thought
was it David?
It was Sam. In order to get it off of him.
Well, I think Sam was kind of the last one looped in there. Like, he does not have much agency at this point. So I think it was really Nina who saw the opportunity to pull in Liz, and she was already working with David. So I gave the credit to Nina, which, like, that's a good thing. Like, Nina, I thought Nina played awesomely last week, and I thought that this was probably just relayed from Liz to George, like, oh, this was Nina's call. Maybe. But I do see what you're saying. Like, he should have thrown out all of their names.
All of them. Like,
yeah, like,
they was trying to come against you. But now, because only Haley is now like, oh, Nina did this? What? Nina did? I'm like, Nina wasn't the only one. And if Nina did it by herself, it wouldn't have did nothing. Exactly. So, but whatever. It is what it is. And so, but they were like, George was going to do everything he could to make sure Haley does not go. But he definitely wanted to make sure Haley knew that Nina flipped on her and was trying to get her out. Is trying to get her out. Is this the reward? Oh yeah, this was
The
this was
sandwich.
this reward challenge was the sandwich.
Is that, or am I the wrong one? Am I the...
I think this was the Chinese one. Yeah, this was the Chinese buffet with the reward. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This was the Chinese. So the new villains, I guess. Do we call them the new villains?
Yeah.
The new villains or the villains tribe wins reward. The reward was, okay. Somebody refresh my mind what this reward challenge was. Oh no, I don't remember.
It wasn't the running the big one, was it? No, it was.
Oh wait, is this the one with the puzzle? When Nina did the puzzle and then they were holding
the water.
The thingy, was that one?
Uh-huh.
Stevie was there, so yes, Stevie.
No, this is the one where they had to push the cart. Or no, is that immunity? That was immunity.
Oh, I'm so unprepared. I'm so sorry, y'all, because I cannot remember what this reward challenge was.
In between 3 episodes of Australian Survivor and United States Survivor, 2 hours, like all of them are combining to me. So I get it. I get
right.
it.
I'm like, I got all these Survivor challenges in my head right now.
Yeah, I don't remember at all.
Wait, you might be.
Are we sure it's not the sandwich?
No, you think it was the sandwich one. It was the sandwich one. You were right, because I just looked at it and they talk about drawing sticks, because that's how they decided to go in.
But what was the reward?
What was the reward?
Oh. Was this where they held the bags over their head?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think it must be.
It has to be the bags with the, and then
actually the bags I think was for immunity.
No, that was the cart for immunity for this episode.
Nina and Sam.
Next episode. It doesn't matter. The challenge is a challenge is a challenge.
Because I think this is the one with the puzzle. Oh, y'all, this is a lot. I have a lot of stuff in my head about Survivor, and they're running together. But I really think it was maybe whatever it was. The villains won. They won the reward. They got the sandwiches, and that's what it was. Oh, jeez. Yes, that's what it was. That's what it was. It was the sandwiches, and it was definitely the puzzle. What Nina and Stevie were doing the puzzle, and everybody had to hold up the bags. Period. There we go. They had to hold up this thing, fix the puzzle, and then they could take one of them out. Nina beat Stevie in the puzzle, and they took out Matt. Bam, Matt's out. Everybody else is holding up these bags. It was doomed before it started. So,
well, and I say they were just the team makeup. It was not favoring the new heroes tribe. And then Nina taking out one Matt. Of their only hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was kind of
Liz is like trying to just be a queen of like having them all, but that wore down real quick and fast.
Really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting, but yeah. So villains win that. They get the sandwich shop. They get to go to the sandwich shop.
This is my favorite reward style of Australians. Yes. Just because if you've watched past ones, this one I was a little disappointed with, but like it's chaos. It's so fun.
Yeah, Lana, you haven't gotten to experience like the best versions of this yet.
I know, because I was like, I thought that I was like, why aren't they like flipping more stuff over? In my opinion, I'll be in there like, as gross as it is, and I know because people are coming behind me, but I would have been digging my hand in that like mayonnaise or whatever. Like, like I'm sorry, you just gonna have to taste my hand in this mayonnaise if you go put mayonnaise on your sandwich. But I'm sticking I don't care what time I go in there. I could be first, I could be last, I could be in the middle. My hand I'm tearing up something, looking for something while I'm in there, because what's the thing is like as long as you're eating, you have time, but. Is it a time limit they have in there?
I'm sure there's a time limit, but they just don't talk about it. But
yeah, I think it may be like 10 minutes, maybe, or something like that.
One of the best versions of it had food plus videos from home.
That's my favorite for sure.
Yes, I think that was season 4. And yeah, that was just so funny, like watching especially David and
Just
Luke just going crazy.
like that's what I wanted to see.
Right, I wanted to see them like going in like you so hungry. Why
Even
ain't you acting like you hungry? I would have.
Sam, who was the last, like he did tear it up, but it was not the level of tear it up that I wanted to see.
Right.
If I ever made on Survivor to that challenge,
Yeah, but it was
girl.
Sam. What do we expect?
Well, no, right. He's so white bread.
I think the one thing that I can agree on most people on is not loving Sam. So,
You, me, and everyone are watching.
yes.
Sam
Mateship and loyalty.
Sam is Sam.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. It's yeah. Never mind. We'll move on. But yeah,
But no, I have a big question from this. Where was the idol?
Where was the item?
We'll never
Who
know.
got? Do
Will
anybody
we never
got it?
know?
We'll find out, maybe.
Yeah, I'm wondering if somebody found an idol and they just aren't showing us yet.
That's
Maybe,
what I thought.
maybe
That's
they want to
what I
surprise us when somebody plays an idol.
I mean, we as of right now, we only know that Sean has an idol that he's
Is
not
that
saying
it? Oh yeah.
that he's not saying anything about. So I'm like, who has? Did somebody else find it? I wanted to believe somebody found it.
I wanted to believe Haley found it.
Oh my god, I would love if Nina found it, but
Yeah, that would be cool too.
I mean, especially because I know they're coming for her at some point. I would love it if she found it and then put it out like, nah, try again, son.
Yeah, I think if anybody from the, what are they calling themselves, the alliance that isn't doing so well, they call the
the Vigilante. No,
that's the big. We'll talk about how petty that is later too.
Oh yes, we will.
We'll talk about that.
But I think if somebody from that alliance had found an idol at that reward, it would have come up somehow, because they were all trying to figure out who could have possibly had an idol, and Sean was the only one who isn't saying anything. I think the others would have said something.
Yeah.
Or played it.
Exactly. So maybe they just didn't have anything there, or they missed it, or the edit's trying to purple us.
Right.
Could be.
Who knows?
So yeah, after they Sam destroyed the thing, then we move on. But apparently it's not as good as y'all wanted him to be. I don't know what else y'all would have wanted. So the whole
I
roof
needed
off.
destruction. I needed all of it.
Total destruction.
Do it, turn the roof off and everything. Just knock the whole shed down. Period.
I needed like sandwiches following him out of the doorway. I needed it.
Love that. So after that, we go back to the Heroes Tribe, and Matt finally makes a decision because Matt has been going back and forth on what he needs to do, how he should play this game, what's his best move to make it to the end game. And he decides, you know what, I need to work with George and his crew. I think that's what's best. And I'm going to go all in with them, and I'm going to just be done with it. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to trust. And we go all out. And I'm like, great, Matt. Great for you. You're still not going to win this game, but great for you. Great for you. You made a choice. It was a choice. I think it was a good choice.
I think it was a good choice, and I'm not convinced that he can't win this game. I think if he's sitting with the right people in the end, which is a very specific group of people.
I'm trying to think who he sit next to that he can win this game, because he can't sit next to his Spice crew and win this game.
He can sit next to Jerry, I think. And I kind of think he can sit next to Simon. It's hard to say, but that's like, I think his best case to win is sitting with those in the end.
The only newbie I think that can win this game is Liz. That's all I'll say. I just think it's going to be a jury of all returners. And will they want to give it to a newbie? I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah.
I don't see Matt winning. And I mean, him sitting next, because they said that Jerry and George made a final three. Now you are not sitting in that final three with no George thinking you're finna win this game. There's just no way.
George lost before, so
but that was next to Queen Haley. George ain't losing to no Jerry and no Matt. That's just not happening.
He shouldn't.
It's not. I mean, especially because you got returners on here who knows what you're looking for in the game. And if they're playing this game like we know what is how this game is supposed to be played, you jumping on board at the last minute is not playing the game. George been playing this game from day one. Matt decided to play this game day 30. So, no, I'm not really convinced that he can win. He won't win against Shawnee. He won't win against Liz. And I don't even know if he went against Jerry. Because let's be honest, because Jerry has been playing this game in a way that if this old man who was cast out by his original tribe comes back, still makes it, and they keeping him, and then go back and make it to the end, the story he has. What is Matt's story? I was at the bottom and I joined the tribe. I joined the winning team and gave some smug one-liners at the end. Like, what's your story, man?
Yeah. It's hard to say.
It's hard.
We still got a lot of episodes left.
So
it's hard to say what all he's going to do.
We'll
I
see.
think if he's responsible for taking out a huge player, I think he could have a resume for himself. And I also think that some of these heroes, if they're on the jury, I think they're going to be better with Jerry if he makes it to the end. Especially someone like Sam. I don't think Sam would ever vote for Jerry.
Maybe. We'll see.
But I don't like Sam, so.
Winner equity, I think we could talk about. Most people have winner equity, but we'll see. There's still a lot of game to play.
It's a lot of game to play. But then we go to the immunity challenge. Oh, wait. Nope, that wasn't the right. We just said the immunity challenge was the reward challenge, and that was not it.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought the holding up the bags was immunity.
That was immunity. The holding up the bags is immunity.
We'll pretend like we knew exactly what the reward was, and we described it perfectly.
You know what? Look it up, y'all. Y'all look it up. This is homework for our viewers. You go look it up and tell us what the reward challenge was. We didn't watch it, and I don't feel like going back to watch it again. But yes, so we described the immunity challenge. There we go. And the villain still won. Yay. Whoa.
Yay.
This is why This is why I don't host the show by myself. Because I don't have the notes like Logan does.
I'm excited to get into the rest of this episode because I think we might have some good, healthy debate going on.
Yeah. So we get back to the New Heroes Beach, and the swirl, everybody's trying to figure out and scramble what they're going to do. Girls don't want Flick to go. George won't. And the boys want Flick to go. The girls don't want Flick to go. That's pretty much what it is. Matt and Flick are like, look, we at their mercy. They know they're at their mercy. They don't really have a say in any of this. And they're hoping that the conversations that they had before and the relationships that they're building will pay off in the end. Y'all thoughts on the scramble?
Mm-hmm. I see both sides of it. Mm-hmm. I understand why the girls.
You broke up for a second, Ashley.
Oh, Lord, hello.
Oh, I thought that was me. Oh, I got so scared.
You understand why the girl
did a thing. I understand why the girls want to keep Flick. I understand why George doesn't want to keep Flick. But here's the thing that I want to say about this conversation is an alliance is a give and a take, an ebb and a flow. Mm-hmm. And if you all want to work together and get to the end, you have to sacrifice someone every now and then.
Right.
And I think from my side, I'm team the girls, keep the girls. Because George, Shawnee literally saved you with an idol. She's done so much for her agency to save you. You can bend a little. Mm-hmm. That's my personal take.
Mm-hmm.
That's very fair. I think the smoking gun for George was, who did Sean give that idol to? What he thought was an idol. He gave that to Flick. So that would tell me the heroes value Flick more as a member of their group. And I think also Matt was probably thinking about that too. Why didn't I get the idol? Why did it go to Flick? And I think that was probably crucial in his decision to flip. And as the viewers, we clearly were watching and we saw Matt saying, "Oh, I'm ready to make that flip." So we knew that was the right decision. But I do want to say, I don't think Flick I thought she handled this situation very well with Liz coming over. She knew exactly what to say to get in their ears and to convince them that she was the person to stay. So I thought she did a great job. And like Ashley said, I could see why both people, both George and Shiz, why they wanted Matt and Flick respectively.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I thought it was. I thought for the first time this was like the first lively debate that they needed. Like nobody just went
Mhm.
along to get along. It was like, this is why my points point be blank 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 why this person needs to stay, and then the other one able to counter what this is why da needs to stay, and it was like both of them were valid. It was very much valid, and I get what you're saying. Like Flick got the idol from Sean, so Sean apparently the heroes or the old heroes valued Flick, but then Flick also in turn used the idol on Matt. So it's like
Right.
the effort to keep everybody together is there. So I was just like, I understand why the conference was happening. I was very much, I agree with you, Ashley. I was like, team girls stay together. But then, sometimes being team girls turn around and bite you in the egg, and it is what it is. But they held their ground. They fought it out. So, and they came up with points. When we were on our way to tribal council, I didn't know which way they were going. I was like, is it going to be Matt? Is it going to be Flick? I
It
don't
was
know.
compelling.
It was very compelling.
Yeah.
I was very much entertained by that. And I was like, ooh, I don't know where it's going to go. But we get to tribal council, and the conversations are like, Jonathan is like, is this, is the alliance on the same ground? Do everybody agree? Is this vote, solid? And it's like, not really. We don't always agree, even in the alliance. We're strong, but we don't always agree. And sometimes we have to give and take and push and pull. And Stevie and Jerry, they're like, our votes are solid.
Yep,
We're
they're
good.
sitting pretty.
We know what we're doing, and this is what we're doing. Shawnee and Liz are like, we don't want to do that. And so they were getting very annoyed with George because George is pushing hard for it to be Flick, and they were pushing hard for it not to be Flick. And they made valid, like you said, when they were like, this is an alliance. We have to give, we have to take, we have to, sometimes we have to sacrifice. And it was, yeah.
I think it's interesting too that Liz was like, if you want to do that, I will be playing my idol on Flick.
Flick.
So it was an interesting. So that really did
Mhm.
force what's the compromise, because they wanted that idol with them.
Yeah. And it is kind of silly that she was so willing to play. Well, I don't know if she was. She might have been bluffing. First of all, but
I don't know, because the way she sounded, well, we'll talk about it in the next episode, but I feel like she might have been very serious about it if George wouldn't have changed his mind or did anything. If he was sticking with the Flick votes, I think she probably would have used it. And then Matt was going to go. But a lot of conversations started happening. A lot of whispering started happening in tribal throughout while Jonathan's asking questions.
right.
Shawnee and Liz are whispering, and then George is whispering to Shawnee and telling and relaying messages from Liz to George and back and forth. And Shawnee can't believe that Liz actually said she would use her idol on Flick. She's like, are you serious? You want me to tell him that?
Poor Shawnee. She was such a middle person
She
here.
was like, you want me to say that? And she was like, yes, tell him. And so George is like, oh, that would be a waste, but it's so stupid. But
Meanwhile, Jerry is making it so clear he wants Flick to go.
Flick
He's
gone.
being so obvious about it, which
I mean, he literally told her he does not trust her.
exactly. This does remind me though of Survivor Gabon. I'm sure you've both seen that, right? There was a crucial vote where um, on New Coda tribe, uh, Susie and Dan were on the bottom, and um, they wanted to get rid of either Susie or Dan. They didn't care which one, but they did each of them and have them vote for each other.
Mm.
And so I think it was a 4-3 vote with Dan leaving and Susie staying. So we almost got a very similar situation with this vote. But the thing is, the very next episode, Susie flipped on that group. Why would she stay loyal to a group that made it so clear she was on the bottom and was willing to just let her go if an idol was played? So I felt I had issues with them making it so obvious that it was either Matt or Flick, because I was thinking, well, if I'm either of them, they're making it so clear that I am not a part of this group. So why stick with them?
Right. I agree. I would have. I was wondering the same thing. I'm like, why am I going to stick? I mean, I'll be grateful in the morning if you keep me, but I'm like, but do I stick around for you to take me out the next time you feel like whatever? I don't know. But this is where it all gets twisted and convoluted because as soon as they're going back and forth with this, we don't want Flick, we want Flick, I don't want Flick, I do want Flick. Then George likes, let me go talk to Jerry. Jerry and George gets up and walks away. And Jonathan's like, Stevie, like, I'm good. We're chilling. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it.
At this point where Stevie's just like talking about how he loves the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a great season.
Yeah.
I'm playing so well. We hear like the violins and the cellos in the background playing them off on this beautiful, like, I'm having a great journey. And then tune to George and Jerry going, who more? Stevie or Matt? Stevie? Okay, 10-4. Copy that.
I was just like, wait, what? And then the compromise, like, how about we compromise Stevie? And they were like, sure. I'm like, are we kidding? We're going to take someone who is obviously 100% loyal, like down to the ground. Stevie was standing 10 toes down with George. Like there was nobody else. He wasn't go like even if he got back in there and Simon came over there, I think he was still 10 toes down with George. I think that's my personal belief. Maybe not. You might not agree with it, but I just believe Stevie was like, unless Stevie was like one of the best actors in holding off until the merge just to get back with Simon, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not as confident that Stevie wouldn't link back up with Simon. I think
go ahead.
I think that symbol really worked on him whenever he found out the triangle thing.
But
And the big thing for me though, sorry, I will let you speak. But the big thing for me was when the three former heroes wanted to go to the well, and they wanted to take Stevie with them. And George was like, no, you wait here. They can go by themselves. You can get water later, Stevie. And Stevie really seemed like he wanted to go. And that, if I was George, I was like, he really wants to go talk strategy with this group. How much can I trust him? I think George did mostly trust him, but I think there was a big question mark still. And I cannot blame him.
Okay. And I think so too. But even with that, even if he would have worked with Simon, where was Simon going after they just decimated his game?
The heroes?
He was not staying with the heroes after what, like the heroes didn't even want him. They literally was shunning him. And
but
like,
he doesn't know that. He hasn't seen everything that's been going on.
I get it. But if we watched and Stevie was standing there when they totally played Simon in front of everybody and was like, you gave them a fake idol and blah, blah, blah. Anybody, I don't have to be at the tribe to know if somebody just said you gave me somebody a fake idol and you tried to play this whole side with a fake idol and you going back, they not go be cool with you no more. They just not. And I don't care what you say or what you do. They're not going to be like, oh, it's okay. We'll welcome you back into the fold. It's some distrust. It's some cracks. Now, Stevie could have went back with Simon and be like, where do we stand? But I'm telling you what this is. Because after what George did for Stevie, I really believe Stevie was going to be loyal to George. I just believe that.
I agree, but so is Matt, as we saw. So really,
As we
the only
saw.
person that wasn't was Flick, and the
Yeah.
girls are making it very clear where they stand on that.
Yeah.
I
But it
know
was go ahead.
the
Ashley.
reaction around the fan base with Stevie leaving. They were not very happy. A lot of my friends were a little sad, upset, confused because after a conversation we just had too, but like people were like, why Stevie? We feel like he's adaptable enough to know that like he can't turn on George that fast. I don't think he knows his game would be that bad. People are very confused. And go with the devil you know versus the one you don't is kind of what people were thinking.
And I will say, to counter that I think it would be very difficult to go into a merge knowing I have to at least have a couple of heroes on my side. But there's so many villains in your alliance. I think it works so much better the way they have it now. It's 4 villains, 3 heroes. So maybe people like Haley and Matt don't feel so on the outs. Like, oh well, I'm just gonna be the last person on the totem pole because I'm not an original villain. So I think just having one less villain kind of helped that case.
I'm okay with that. But yeah. So Stevie ends up getting voted out because that was the compromise. That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
And
and I do think it was the right decision for George based on his hands kind of being tied by Liz and Shawnee. I think the compromise and giving Jerry some agency too, I think was a huge move for George. I think that really helped solidify Jerry even more and make him feel like his voice matters. Because up until this point, nobody's really needed any feedback from Jerry. So I think all things considered, it worked out pretty well. And I thought it was a solid move for George.
yeah. And by the way, not me just looking down and finding that it was the cart with the pooling and then the basketball shooting was the reward challenge.
Oh.
Blah, blah, blah. I knew it was one of them, but I
We
thought it
finally
was
figured it out. Better late than never.
better late than never. People just keep trying and you'll find out the truth. But yeah, that was the reward challenge.
And
But,
just to eulogize.
and it was a blowout. It was literally a blowout. Like
Oh, yes,
the
it
heroes
was.
had no
I
choice.
remember that now. Yeah, just to eulogize Stevie a little bit, I will say I was not excited about him coming back on this season, especially because he had such a vendetta against Shawnee, which seems so random. If you had seen their season, like, okay, yeah, she voted for him, but so did a lot of people. But
But she was the only one there.
I guess so. I did not expect to end up liking Stevie as much as I did, and it actually was a very sad tribal. Like my heart broke for him, even though I thought it was a good move. My heart broke for the guy.
Yeah, I was sad that he was just like right before he got voted out. He was like, "I just want to say I had the best time here. This is so great. Everybody's so lovely. In alliances, we have to be strong together because the united united we stand, divided we fall. Blah blah blah." Stevie was so positive. I just enjoyed Stevie. I don't think he was. I never thought he was going to win this season, but I just enjoyed his spirit and having him around, and it was nice seeing him. I would have loved for him make it to merge, but it's I always feel bad for the person goes out right before merge. Like
he's not that yet.
Huh?
We have one more before that.
Is it one more before
No, we're
merge?
still like you mean jury. You're thinking jury, Ashley.
No, yeah, you're thinking jury. I'm talking about merge.
That same thing in my head. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm like, no, we gotta merge.
No,
right?
you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I always feel bad for the person who goes out right before merge happens.
But going right before jury also.
Right before jury. It's like that's kind of sad. But yeah, I felt bad for Stevie. But Stevie he did what he came to do, and that was that. So moving on to the next episode, which was I'm hungry for a blind side is what the title was. I'm hungry for a blind side.
They're
And it's
hungry.
merge time, baby.
You know what that means? Num
Woo!
num 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 nums. And they actually give their contestants food in Australia. So like
Yes.
that's
Right.
explaining.
Which I definitely side eye US Survivor. Like, what happened to the merge feast? Where's the merge feast go? We
Here's
don't.
a cup of rice.
Right.
I side eye U.S. Survivor on a lot of things lately.
And
Like, we don't give them no merge feast. They done made it to merge. You don't feed them once. You don't give them nothing already. You can't give them a feast. Like, come on now. But they walk in and they see the table is set, and
they
it
know.
was like they know exactly what time it is. And I'm like, okay, not a whole pig's head. Look at this. We got a whole pig sitting on this table. And lobster and all
US
kinds of
could
food.
literally never.
They couldn't never.
Somebody cut off the pig head, and it
Yeah,
just
they
grossed
did.
me out.
They-
I don't need to
listen,
see the pig get decapitated.
and I don't know about y'all, but I sit there and look at like when they do these rewards and look at the food that they're giving them, and I'm like, that'll be so great. But my bougie behind would be like, number one, I'm allergic to shellfish, so I can't eat this lobster. So get it away. Second, please don't cut off the pig's head in my presence. Like, could you just cut off a piece of the meat so I don't have to see it? And what is
so
that?
unnecessary.
Like, what is that? Like, I'm very picky, and I don't eat coconut. Like, I would not survive in Survivor. Like, I would die in Survivor because I don't eat what they have. And I'm like, and they're like, if you're hungry enough, you'll eat it. Possibly, but I'll be grossed out. Like, I hate coconut. Coconut, like, I can't stand it. I can't stand it, by the way. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, but they had the feast. They walked in and this feast was laid out, and I don't drink beer. Like, come on now, can we have some water, some sodas, some juice? I don't like beer. It's gross. So I was feast not for me. But yeah,
I love the feast for the interpersonal, seeing who gravitates towards who. That's what I love.
Yeah. Now, we'll talk about that in a second because, yeah, it was some conversations and some groupings happening. I was like, are we going to be this blatant about
I know.
grouping?
I was like, you're just hovering around the people you want to talk to.
Right. I'm like, we're not going to try to make no new connections. No, we're just going to stick with our stick with the people I know, and we go eat this food. It was so weird. I was like, wow, okay. But let's see. Yeah, everybody comes together. They have the merge. They now the green tribe. They have their green buffs. They're cute. I was like, okay, cute green, like it. I'm here for it. All right. Queen Healy and King George decide they're going to come together. They're finally excited to finally be on the same tribe together, and yada yada yada. Everybody's just eating at the feast. It's just a lot of eating and people talking and a lot of
George hovering over everyone.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm like,
George is like a turkey
Healy
leg,
alone.
and just like, what's going on? How are you? Do you need any salt? Are we playing good? How are you? like literally up and down the line.
I'm like, George, are you the hostess?
He's so smiley all the time too. Like, I know a lot of people don't like George, but he's got like such a permanent, like, big cheesy smile. And I like it personally. Like, I think maybe it comes across as fake sometimes, but
I mean,
so
I would be the George in that case, because like if I got to merge, I'd be like, I want to see all my friends. So I'd be like, how are you? How are you? Oh my god, I miss you. Like,
Can we go to a breakout room?
Right. Can we just talk about this? Like,
I get it. I'd be like walking with my drink, like a food in my hand, and just wandering. Like, I get it.
I understand. It was just interesting to see everybody, like, who they talked to and who they interacted with, and then I was grossed out because everybody was talking with their mouth full, and I was like, please stop showing that. Because like David, I was like, look, I appreciate looking at you, David. You're a handsome man. I enjoy looking at you, but please don't ruin the whole image with a whole bunch of pig stuff in your mouth, and you're like,
I know you're not talking about me, but I'll pretend like you're talking about this David.
I mean, that's very true. That's very obvious. But like, I'm like, it's just I got grossed out. But the food, watching people talking with food in their mouth and spittle coming out, it was. But they were hungry, so I understand. They have some of them have not eaten in real food in a while, so I get it. I get it. But after they finished their feast, now me personally, I thought it was gonna be something in the like an idol hidden somewhere in the feast, but I don't know if that's what they do for Australian Survivor. But I thought it might be something like under a table or under like in the pig guts. I don't know. They was cutting it open like that, but they get back to camp, and this is what I thought was interesting too. When they get back to camp and they're breaking off into their little groups to talk or whatever, and it was, I don't know, I found like nobody was doing what I thought they were going to do. Like, I thought it was going to be like, let's grab some people who we can try to, like George was doing the work. George was like, I'm gonna go make sure that I can. He came here with a plan. He knew he needed 7 people. He wanted a 7-person alliance. He knew exactly who he wanted to get, and he knew who he had. So he knew he had to go get Haley, make sure Haley was together on his side. He needed Simon, which shocked him and shocked Simon because they were like, this whole game we've been going against each other, but you are alone, and like they don't want you. We'll take you, which I think was smart, and which was really silly on the the OG hero tribe not to pick up Simon.
I think they took it for granted that they had him. Those arguments at the tribe mats between George and Simon. So they probably thought 0% chance they're going to work together. So they just really took him for granted as a number, and they got overconfident.
I just was so baffled by that because I was like, why are we acting like Simon's vote is not his is not valuable right now? He's really literally by himself and can flip either way. And Sean, of all people, could have had Simon if he would have just reassured him more and like, hey, we got you. Don't worry about this. We got you. Blah, blah, blah. And Simon, I think, would have stayed with Sean because Simon really idolizes Sean. He's just, like he said, he's his rival idol. And he just really, respects Sean in such a way that I think if he would have just played it, and they were like, Nina included, Dina and David and Sam was like brushing him off, like, just a minute, we'll talk to you. I'm like, are we kidding?
I mean, I'm like, is this got to be editing, right? They weren't that bad with him, were they?
I would hope it was editing because it just seemed like all of a sudden, because you think you have 8 people in your alliance, solid. You think that 8 is solid. You have no idea what happened over on the other tribe. You don't know what Matt and what Flick are going to do. Even though they're saying one thing, I always would have in the back of my mind, they could flip. They saw Jerry flip. Why would they not think Matt and like I don't understand.
I wouldn't have thought from their perspective, the heroes, I wouldn't have thought Matt and Flick would flip based on them. Like they were called hostages by George. So I could see why. But I would have questions on like, why did Stevie leave? So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword.
One thing I will say is once you get to emerge, I think you have to be semi-flexible. You can't be stagnant to where you're at. So like with the Simon vote, you might think, oh, we have them, we may not. But like if you find a better place with better agency for yourself, you're not at the bottom, you might lose that vote. So just like, none of those votes are set in stone.
Yes, you always reassure. You always reassure and make sure that your allies are still your allies. I don't care how sure I think I got you. Like, if we can play a game right now with the 3 of us, and I know David is my husband in this game, but if I don't talk to David the entire time, and then he goes to a different tribe and comes back and is friends with Ashley, and I don't reassure, he can flip on me. And it's like, am I supposed to be like, oh, I got David, don't worry about it. I'm not going to not talk to nobody.
Right.
Just assume because we got a close relationship outside of this game or even inside of this game that vote is 100% locked in always. You have to talk to people and reassure them, be like, hey, are we good? How you feeling? Blah, blah, blah. And anybody, any stragglers, like in my mind, I feel like any stragglers, anybody who is on the low on the totem pole is an opportunity. You always go talk to them, pick them up, try to give them a better offer than being
Exactly.
at the bottom of a new alliance that they
Yep.
feel. It's just, I don't know. I just thought that was weird.
I thought this episode, Simon Me, became Simon, what about me?
I mean, but I don't think anyone wanted to target him. I
Right.
don't think he was the person that we were going after right away. So, like,
Mm-mm.
what about me? What about my vote? Who wants
Mhm.
me?
Exactly.
I agree, because I'm like, I don't understand. Okay,
And good for him for being okay with working with George, because I don't know if I thought he would be willing to. Just like, even I just rewatched the episode where he got voted out in his first season, and he seemed to have a grudge against George for that. But watching it back, I'm like, wait a second, George didn't do anything. He came to that tribal council as a twist, and Baden told him, vote for Simon. So George literally did nothing except did what he was told.
Well, and I think that whole George and Simon it all has a lot to do mid seasons, outside of seasons past. I think a
I
lot of
guess that
that
makes
from what
sense.
I know.
Mhm.
But I think to your point of being shocked that Simon is willing to work with George, it goes back to adaptability. And I think about an org I just played where literally like my biggest rival and we got together and worked together and like ran the mid section of the game. So I'm like, I'm hoping Simon can do that too.
I
Like,
mean, you have to do that because, like, speaking of a game, when one of the last story I played, the person put me up the very first week, put me up, and I was about to be on out the door, but I turned around and he became one of my best allies, and we rolled it all the way to the end. So you just have to be adaptable in your gameplay, and you can't just have your blinders on and like, this person, I'm mad at this person. Sometimes your biggest rival could become your best ally if you allow it to happen. And even in that, you can bring your enemy in for a moment of time. Nobody said you got to keep them as your ally the entire game. It's just like,
Right.
you just look for the perfect opportunity. When is the best opportunity for me to cut you? I'm gonna keep you around and we're gonna play cool. But at one moment, I'm gonna find a way to, you got to go. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. It is what it
exactly.
is. But I'm glad he did take off the blinders and did feel like, because I think it was the best move for him
I agree.
because he
And
really had nowhere else to go.
this is the most I've ever liked Simon too this week. Like, I really had a lot of fun watching him.
And I think that has a lot to do with the edit of it all, because like it hasn't been like the pitting George and Simon
Oh, right.
versus each other, right? Like when
Yes.
you just see them being, it's so
Mhm.
great. It's so great.
I do. And this is the thing. And I feel like Simon getting knocked down so fast, so hard, and almost, almost leaving at one point. Like, I think that was the fire that he needed to like wake up and stop playing this, buddy buddy with the bros kind of game, and like, let me think about this. Let me stop trying to be, in this alpha bromance thing going on here and actually play this game. Let me stop looking at it from, if I hang out with this one set of people, I'm gonna do all right. You got to look at the whole big picture, because sometimes hanging with the bros ain't gonna get you there, because where are you on their
Right.
pecking order? Where do you fit in with them? So I'm glad that Simon was able to like realize, like, step back, look at the whole thing, and observe what's really happening around him. So yeah, I did enjoy Simon this week in this game. Then let's see. So when we get back after the feast or whatever, they need to come up with the name for the new tribe. I have to bring this up because I found this to be hilarious. But
The
they
real
want,
payoff is until the next episode for
yes,
me.
but this was kind of funny, so we have to bring it up so the next
Mhm.
episode makes sense. So they want to come up with a name for the tribe. George comes up with the Mole Mole tribe. He said because it means I'm hungry and pleased in Samoa. In Samoan, that's what it was. Mole Mole means I'm hungry. And Nina had a suggestion that they be the Vigilante tribe, because they're not quite heroes, not quite villains, just take the matters into their own hands. Me personally, I thought that was a better name. Me too. I was like, I like that. I thought that's a good idea. But they wanted to go with the Mole Mole tribe. And it was more in this moment. This was the moment that they showed who the seven were.
Exactly.
It showed exactly who the seven were. Because when George made the Mole Mole suggestion, everybody who was in his alliance, Shawnee, Liz, Jerry, Matt, himself, then Simon, and then Haley jumped on at the last minute. Like, I
She
kind of like
changed her
Mole
mind.
Mole too.
She's
So
like,
that
wait,
was
my
the
friends voted for
seven
this one.
right there. And I'm like, y'all not seeing this? Y'all still think you got Matt? Y'all still think you got Haley?
I'd like to say, not related to the vote, George can't be mad about silly names. Looks at the Queen Elizabeth tribe.
Oh, well, and he also named them the Fire Tribe, I think.
He can't come after any bad
No.
names. I'd just like to put that onto the record that
Okay.
putting out, how about Queen Elizabeth? Like, no, that was never going to be a Survivor tribe name. Sorry, I've never had a chance to publicly put my grievances out on
Yes.
on that. Anyways, but
And I do prefer like tribal sounding names. So I did like Mole Mole better just because it's the actual word, like in that language. But the Vigilante made sense. But I think it does work better as an alliance name. So, but we'll get to that later.
But so yeah, okay. So they made the Mole Mole tribe. Oh wait, no. Liz, Matt, Jerry, Flick, George, and Haley. I
Oh,
said
Flick voted. Okay.
Flick voted for that as well for the
Simon
Mole
did it,
Mole.
right?
Simon
Did
didn't.
he?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I
it
was
was.
going to say, because he hadn't picked his loyalty yet at this
Yeah, he
point of the
didn't.
episode.
Yeah, so it was Flick at that point. Mm. Um. So yeah, the Mole Mole. Let's see. Flick has a conversation with Sean, and she tells him about her deal with the Spice Girls Alliance, even though she don't know it's called the Spice Girls Alliance.
Mhm.
But she told him about her deal that they will target Simon, and that was just what it was going to be. But she's still conflicted on if she should be loyal to them or be loyal to her original heroes tribe. You know, whatever.
If
Okay.
I'm Flick, what is the harm of getting rid of Simon? Like, they did not get along in their first season.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be her best way to hide her true allegiance for one more vote. So
Mm-hmm.
I really think that would have been the best move for her to push for Simon. I'm glad that's not what happened, but I just don't get her logic here.
Maybe I don't know, because they never were on the same tribe together yet this season. So I mean, maybe she thinks that the deal that Simon made, even though it was a fake idol, maybe they still hold that up. Maybe even though it wasn't real. I don't know. Maybe they see the value of him potentially thinking of working with them.
I think she got scared. I think she got scared of the numbers. I think she figured that if she didn't push Simon, because she thought maybe she felt like Sean wanted to keep Simon, and she rather work with Sean and be on Sean's good side and didn't want to push too hard against maybe somebody who Sean wanted to keep.
Mm.
I mean, Sean
Because
was willing to get rid of him the last tribal he was at.
she didn't know,
So,
but she
yeah,
didn't know
true.
that.
True.
So I don't know. I think Flick is another. We'll talk about Flick more later in the next episode, but because I just think Flick just makes interesting choices. She has made some
Consistently.
very interesting choices. Um, but then she turns around, and so this was another interesting thing in the Veil of the Night. the heroes tribe decides to get up and all congregate and meet at this nighttime meeting and try to decide what they're going to do at the next tribal council. And Flick decides to throw out Shawnee and say we should break up the Spice Girl alliance or break up this alliance because this trio is a dangerous thing. They're a block. They're voting together, and we need to break it up. But I don't know why didn't they go after George? But they say it's Shawnee. They want to break up the girls.
The only credit I'll give Flick here is that maybe she just didn't want to face the music from coming back to camp with both of those girls that she had lied to so hard, and she just wanted to get rid of one of them so she didn't have to see them face to face after that. That's the only credit I'll give to her as far as this move goes.
And so, okay, somebody can ask me this question because didn't they say that speaking of tribe names, back to that, they called it the Mole Mole tribe. What did the Fa Mole Mole tribe come from?
Is it
I think
silent?
it's like very It's like a two-parter, right? Like it's, I think the faux comes from holds tight. I'm hungry, and then please. So please might be the pho. It means two things.
But they
maybe
don't
they
pronounce
They
the fa,
didn't
do
say
they?
the Fa Mole Mole. They just said Mole Mole.
Maybe
Yeah.
Jonathan adds that in.
Maybe. I just was
I don't
looking
know.
at it and I was like, where did the Fa come from? Like all
Yeah,
of a
because
sudden
when
it was
it's written down on the screen, it says it's like a fa with an
Fa Mole Mole.
apostrophe.
Maybe it's a Samoan thing and it's
Maybe.
pronounced mole mole, but it's like, but maybe Jonathan's doing the thing where you just add the extra like Illinois and like the extra S into
I
that.
hate that. It drives me crazy when people call Illinois Illinois.
I know, see.
Like, would you stop and take that S off of there, please?
Right, exactly. Like
Stop
that, maybe
saying the S. Okay.
maybe same vibes. I don't know.
Maybe. I guess. It just that was a question for me because I was like, what the fuck come
I
from?
wondered too.
Okay. But Flick decides that she's going to keep playing her double agent role. She's going to go get information and come back and tell them what she hears and da da da. Because that was the goal. That was the plan. If they kept her, she'll be a double agent. Matt was the same thing. If they kept him, he would be a double agent. That's what they pitched to them. Blah blah blah. Flick decides that maybe she don't want to be a double agent anymore. She gets the information and then she goes to Shawnee and Liz is like, no update. I got nothing. They won't tell me anything. They're being real shady around me. They're not telling me nothing. And Shawnee, I'm like, are you really going through this with Shawnee, who didn't play this game 3 times?
Shawnee's going.
Shawnee said,
doesn't pass the sniff test.
I smell BS. It stinks over here with you, Flick. It stinks with you, Flick. Because, I mean, like, how are you going to say you got all these ends with these people? Like, David, Sam, and Nina are your crew. Those are your people. You were hugging Sean very openly at the feast. Y'all loving each other and da-da-da. And then you go say, they're not telling me anything? Who believes that?
Right. It's funny to me how much symmetry this season has with our heroes versus villains. Like, I've always saw George, Shawnee, and Liz very similar to Russell, Danielle, and Parvati on the villains tribe. And then what do both of those trios do? Let's bring on Jerry as a fourth, both of them. And then
funny.
you get to the merge, and there's this crucial conversation where one of the heroes is trying to lie to one of the villains, and it reminded me so much of Amanda and Parvati in Heroes versus Villains, where Amanda was not giving Parvati anything. She's like, just play your idol for yourself. And Parvati spotted it just like that. So Shawnee's kind of like the Parvati this time. So, and we've even got like a twine on both seasons. So it's pretty crazy. And honestly,
same beaches.
this might be my favorite season of Survivor since that Heroes versus Villains. So,
Ooh,
yeah,
hot take.
I know.
Hot take. Fun though.
Oh, it's been so good.
It's been very interesting. I will say that. Let's see. So yeah, she Shawnee don't believe nothing Flick is saying. And so she's like, I can't believe this. I done put my whole game on the line for this woman. I went and saved her, and we thought her and Liz took this very like
Personally.
personal with Flick and whatever. They don't believe her. And they just surprised that she don't want to work with him. It's like why did he do that? So after
And it must suck for them, like knowing, oh, George was right.
Right.
Like
And
they're
no,
probably
it's
really
like,
pissed about that.
I mean,
I would be.
after
I would
you
be.
fight so hard for somebody, and then somebody is fighting against you, telling them this is not gonna work. She's not gonna do this. She's not gonna do this. Then you turn around and she's not. You got to go right back to that person. Like, I guess you were right about Flick. She is not working with us like we thought. And which is also very sad for me as a woman. I'm like, come on.
They're dropping
You,
like flies.
like it was only a handful of y'all, and it's just blah blah. Yeah, just leave it, and then we don't even have the sense enough, the wherewithal to work together when we have the chance. Like, it's very heartbroken. So they went towards George that he was right, and that Flick was being flaky. So they come up with a whole new plan on how they're going to keep everybody intact and make sure that they send one of these alpha men home. And that was the plan. They have to send an alpha male home at this point. And so George comes up with this plan to reel in Simon at this point to make sure that Simon is now on board with them and they could work together. And along with Matt and Haley and Simon and Liz and George and Jerry, they like, we got this crew that we can just do what we need to do, make the right choice, and see who we want to get out. At first it was Sam. Sam was the one. Sam was the one who was going to go.
We were
They
this
wanted
close
Sam
to getting him out before jury.
they wanted Sam gone, and they would go make it happen. But then, well, then we go to the challenge because we got to go to the immunity challenge first, which this challenge here always gives me anxiety. I hate this challenge. I hate watching this challenge. It just and as the reaction when everybody walked up to the challenge, the ones participating in this challenge before was like, oh no, not this one. I hate it. It's the
Last breath.
last breath challenge where you're on this cage, you gotta hold this cage and the tide is coming in, and how long can you hold your breath underwater?
And Sean's done this one, so for him especially, and he made it pretty far into his, and that was also the episode, spoilers if you haven't watched the fourth one, I don't care, where he goes home. So this might have a little bit of PTSD for Sean.
Yeah, Sean was very much like
David
he had a
one?
He went home that.
Sorry, David.
I know you confused the beautiful men of the season. I feel you.
He went. Sean had a very visceral reaction to seeing the last breath. So I think he was like, this is the one I went home with. Oh, police. So, but I just don't like watching it. I don't like watching it in Survivor, Australia. I don't like watching it in the US, even though we just saw two people murder this thing and like survive it all until the tide went away and they just had to both win. I just don't like this challenge because I know for me, I can't breathe underwater. I will just,
I try to imagine how I would do. I like the water. I like floating in the water, but I don't know how I feel about not being able to breathe with water. I feel like I would get in my head. So like, yeah.
I have panic, like freak out moments. Like if I lay on, I have fear of drowning, even if I'm not underwater. Like if I lay flat on my back, I feel like my chest is caving in. So I'm like, so I know I would just freak out underwater. No. Don't like it. Not a fan. Don't like it. And I don't like watching it. So I kind of was like, ugh. But it came down to Nina and Matt. which I
I
was
did
like,
not see that coming. I
didn't see
was
that
so
coming.
impressed with Nina.
Matt, I saw. I'm like,
Yeah, he's
Matt,
a
you're a
lifeguard,
lifeguard.
so
This is what you do. I'm sure
yeah.
they have tests of how long you can hold your breath underwater for, for lifeguards. But I was very surprised to see Nina get that far, and I was very proud. I was happy.
I wonder
Mhm.
if she like practiced it. She's in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
water, maybe the ocean potential word, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, did she just go out and practice? Who knows?
Who
She killed
knows?
it. I thought she might. For a second, the edit made me think, oh, maybe she's gonna win it. What?
Me too. I was
Yeah.
hoping. I was hoping. I was like, come on, Nina. That'll be great. But it went to Matt. I'm sorry, I didn't make the thing, but Matt won. Matt won that, and good for Matt.
Good for Matt.
Um, he needs
He I thought Simon was sticking in
There we
it
go.
pretty well. Who else like was in there longer than I expected them to? Like the bigger boys, I did not expect them to stay in as long. So
Yeah, it came down to the four was Matt, Nina, David, and Simon for the final four.
I think something like that. Yeah, which I've
Yeah,
like Simon. I was like, well, wow, you're staying up for a pretty long time, and then like out of nowhere, like hopped out.
I thought
David,
Jerry stayed on there longer than I thought he was going to stay under there too. Because I'm like, oh, go on, Jerry. But then George was like, Jerry's a free diver, so that's what he does too. So I'm like, oh,
that all makes sense. I was not shocked that Shawnee and George were out very early in this one. I was
Nope.
not shocked about that. It's like that's about on brand.
well, yeah, that was it. But so Matt wins. Great for Matt. Wins. Yeah, there we go. He says in his confessional he's formally aligning himself with George. He's going to stay loyal to this alliance. That's just he's put his hat there, and that's what he's gonna do because he got a final three, which he never had with the other. Nobody made a final three deal with him before, so he was very excited about having a final three. Don't blame him.
Mhm.
Don't blame him for sticking with his hat where he did. It's like where when somebody's offering you a final three and you've never been offered a final three in anything
You
or
say
a final
yes.
anything, you tend to take
Yeah.
that bet. And then they were making moves and making them happen. So not really mad about that. Understand. So the heroes decide that they're going to flush Liz's idol. They're going to vote for Shawnee, but they're going to try to flush Liz's idol and tell her at the last minute that her name is out to try to scare her and spook her to use the idol for herself. But Matt and Haley, who knows the real plan, somebody, I don't know which one, I think it was Matt, but one of them told George the real plan.
Well, I have a theory,
Yes.
and I wish if this is true, I wish it had been shown. But like I said, I was just rewatching a little bit of season 6 last weekend with my sister. She's never seen it before, but we watched the merge episode, and it was interesting because it was like a big brawn alliance that kind of had the majority, and they had two brains with them, George and Kara. But George, even though he was in the majority at this merge, he still wanted to work with Haley, who was in the minority. And so he was going to be a double agent. He found out who they were voting for in the majority and told Haley so Haley could play an idol for that person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we just saw where Haley was the person in the know and she told George, and then an idol was able to be played on that person. So
Reversal
I
of
thought,
roles. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that
Pretty
was
neat.
kind of interesting symmetry there.
Yeah. And I think like if you know you have an idol and you know you can make a move and like do it, why not? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like keep your numbers strong and intact. So it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. They we don't really know. They didn't really show who
Right.
sold the who told the plan, but the
Have
plan got back.
have we gotten to the part where Haley and Simon talk yet? Or are we
We
getting there?
we were
We're very
getting
close to it.
Okay.
very close to
Then I will wait.
that. We do. Let's see. Yeah, actually, we're right there. Yeah, George was target alphas, and Sam and tells Haley the plan. Simon is highly skeptical of working with the villains, but he doesn't know whether the villains or should he regroup with the heroes. That's when David eventually tells Liz about her name being out there. She needs to use the idol for herself. Liz talks to Shawnee and George, and they're like, I don't think that's the plan. I don't. I think Shawnee is like, nope, that ain't smelling right to me either. I think they're coming after either George or me, and they're telling you, so use the idols just on yourself so they can, do whatever they want to do. But they don't know. They're still trying to figure out. But you can talk about Haley and George and Simon's conversation.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the most crucial conversations we had because you could see that Simon was not really sure where he wanted to throw his lot in. But when he started talking to Haley about it, she gave him zero reason to doubt flipping. She was so confident. Oh, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're totally doing it. And I think that's just another reason why Haley is arguably the best person to ever play Australian Survivor. Like, I think she really secured Simon in that vote, and I was very impressed with her.
I agree. We also had George talking to Sean because he wasn't sure if Simon was going to uh Sean was going to do this and stick with the plan. So he goes and he talks to Sean, and Sean is like not feeling the way George is coming at him. He called him Hannibal Lecter. He said he kind of gives me this Hannibal Lecter vibe going on. Like, he's just like, I
And
don't like how
Sean's
he,
so real for that. So real for that.
yeah,
Yep.
very much so. Because he's like, yeah, George, George is like, you need to be on the right side of the vote. Because you have no choice right now. We have 7 people going against him. And if you're on the wrong side, then, that don't look good for you. And Sean is like, what? What are you talking about? Like, it was just a weird conversation. He was like, get on the right side. Just come on. And even though he was telling the truth, it just seemed so weird and just like out of nowhere to Sean. Like, what you mean? Because Sean still think they got the 8.
And I think the fact that he was telling the truth was one of the biggest problems with this. Like, why would you tell them where an idol can be played? Like, I am probably one of George's biggest apologists. I'll defend him for almost any move. I think this is by far his worst move of the season. Even though nothing came of it, like we didn't see Sean play an idol for Sam. I just thought it was a horrible move. Like, I was like, what are you doing, George? So I'm glad that the girls gave him the business too.
I think on that point, too, I think this episode and the next episode really shows George feeling himself, and he's like, I can say what I want and do what I want, and no one's gonna touch me. That's kind of how I feel like in my opinion, not a great move in early merge. Still, like, there's a lot of numbers and a lot of shit can happen. But like, that's kind of where I'm sensing where he's like, I'm just gonna say this to Sean. Why not? I've got the numbers. I know where I'm at. He can try to play an idol, and we're not telling him where it's at. Like, I get that, but I'm like, oh, girl, George, just take one step back, take one volume down, just like breathe,
just a little bit.
He's always overconfident, but I think he mostly keeps that to the confessional, which I appreciate. And I do think he has done a good job, even in these merge episodes, of really making it seem like a team game instead of like
except this one move.
Yeah, that was the one real flaw for me.
Yeah, this was I mean, it could have ended up really bad if they changed it all up anyway. So it was just a lot. It was murky, and I didn't think the move was like. I think that was a moment of George literally really feeling himself and feeling like he can do and say whatever he wanted in that moment. Now, usually, like, I agree with you, David. Usually he keeps it together. He knows what he plays it pretty much. He usually spot on with his calls. He usually spot on with his reads. This was not just a good move. He shouldn't have said that, but nothing came from it, honestly. So, but they changed their minds. Flips from Sam to David all of a sudden, and they go to Matt and they tell Matt that is now David. Because David told Liz this thing. I really think if David would have told Liz anything, he probably would have still been there because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
shush. But Matt was very concerned about the flip all of a sudden to David. He was like, what?
What's the harm in giving him the reason? Like, just be honest.
Right. Just tell him why.
Sean found out who we're voting for, so we have to change it. Like, if you're just telling him, this is what we're doing now, that, I mean, obviously he's stuck with them, but that would make me feel like, oh, I'm not really part of this alliance. I'm just being told what to do and not why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like that part from them either.
I really think that that kind of play is always going to come back at you at some point. You can't treat people in your alliance like they're just the vote. They're just a number for you. You have to give them reasons why we're doing this. Don't just come to me and be like, hey, the vote's now flipping to Ashley. Why? No reason. I'm not going to tell you. Then I'm like, but what? So my point don't matter. I'm not valid in this group. Like my opinion does. You can't do that to people and think that they're going to be like okay with this. Not that I would ever vote out Ashley because, yeah, like no, like no. I don't think I voted Ashley out in one game and I was like devastated. And I was like, no, why did I do that?
It's a hard game, but it's all right. We
It was
forgive.
Ashley has
one
voted me out before.
Never. I've never voted any of my friends out of any games. I go on the record. Ever.
Would never vote out my friends.
No.
Please.
I feel bad about it every single time.
Every single time.
But the check's the check, right?
I can honestly say I've never voted David out in the game.
I've never voted Lana out.
I honestly can say I've never, even though me and David have not played very many games, that is the reason why I've never been able to vote David out, because we don't play games together. But okay, sorry. Back to this. So we go, Matt is concerned. He don't know. He's like, I don't know why they won't tell me, but it is what it is. So we still don't know who's gonna go. Well, we know who's gonna go, but they tried to make it. It could be David, could be.
I was not feeling confident yet.
I felt confident in it. I was like,
my big question was like, what is Simon gonna do? Because I was not sure.
True. Okay. So when we get to tribal, they discussed how tribal lines will be drawn after the vote. Who's truly aligned with whom will be revealed. Matt highlights that he is going to vote with the people he wants to continue working with. And I'm like, that sounds like a very clear line, but who is he want to work with? It was very vague, but clear. It was a clear line, but vague at who he was talking about. And George is like that this is a turning point in the game for everyone, and that one person needs to go for the rest. One needs to go for the rest to not see him again. Like he needs to walk down that road and we will never see him again. I'm like, oh, George. Wow. Okay. And sounds so like then, no, go ahead.
It sounds like him, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, we'll never see him again.
But that does not sound like a descriptor of David. Like that sounds like Sam. So I think maybe he was trying to play that up.
Him again. It was that's why when Jonathan asked Flick how she feels, she was like, I feel okay because he said him, not me. He didn't say her. He said him, so I'm good, right? So I'm like, all the women should have been like, whew, okay. Well, one of y'all boys should go. It's not us. But yeah, he was just like one of him, and so. I still, at that point, it could have been Sam. It still could have been Sam. Why not?
The fear of an idol, I think, makes it, let's be vague as fuck for fun.
Right. So we go to the vote. Vote happens. And Jonathan says, anybody wants to play an idol? Now will be the chance to do so. And Liz sits for a second and says, you know what, Jonathan, here you go. And Jonathan asks us who she's playing it for. And she says, Shawnee. And Dave was like, Liz.
Their faces drop.
Liz.
Does this not remind you, David, of season 3 of Australian Survivor when they who is that? That's Annalise's brother.
Benji.
Benji's like, don't do it. And then she flips it, and then Matt Rogers goes home.
Right.
Like I was like, David's trying to pull something.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. But that's all I could think about when I saw that. I was like, we've seen crazier things happen, so why not try? Why not?
Yeah. She would have been so pissed if she changed her mind and Shawnee did end up going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So annoying. But yeah, no, that's a piece of Australian Survivor history in my head.
I'm glad she stuck with it.
Yeah, she doubled down.
Good read.
Yeah, she had a good read. She understood. And I think Shawnee and George calmed her down and was like, they're not coming for you. This is for either me or Shawnee. And they had a 50-50 chance of guessing the right person. And like I said, I'm glad. I've grown to liking Shawnee this season. I didn't really know Shawnee because I didn't watch none of the season. But at the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know about her. But I've grown to understand and like Shawnee, and I like how she plays this game. And this episode in particular, I liked her a lot more because I'm like, she has really good reads on what's happening around her. She's very observant, and she sees some things that, some people just apparently don't see. And she was able to sniff out the BS from Flick and this whole plot from David telling Liz that she needs to use an idol on herself. I just learned to really like Shawnee, and she was right. And David was eliminated.
Yep.
Mr. Noble Confessional himself.
Oh well, 1 to 2 at best.
Yeah. Poor guy.
What, episode 14, girl? Couldn't give him
14 episodes.
I feel bad for him because in his exit interviews, he's like, "Yeah, I can't wait to go out and play again." I'm like, I don't think they're gonna have you again.
I can get him some online reality games if he wants to play again.
There we go.
That's what he's looking for.
I'll set up a host game for him to come play. I would
go.
love to have a David there.
Do Battle of the Davids game. All
period. All Davids. Only
come
Davids
out of retirement.
I'm getting all the Davids I know to play.
And also one thing, I was watching this episode in an airport, and it was right as Liz was getting up to play her idol that they started boarding for my plane. So I had to pause it, and I could not watch it for like 2 hours later. Finally got to see the end. I was like, oh my God. I was going to watch it in the plane, but I was sitting in the very front row, and you can't keep like laptops on the floor when the plane is taking off. So they had to put it overhead, and I'm like, I guess I can't.
Over it. Right. Not going to go get it now.
Later.
So sick. So sick. Yep. But a 7-4-1 vote was the vote. All Shawnee's votes did not count. And there we go. David was gone. And so the lines were drawn at this point because now Shawnee is very upset with Flick.
I'd like to say, not related to the show, Survivor US would be holding their finale celebration right now after David gets voted out. If they're doing the regular days, wouldn't we be 29 days? Is that what or is it 27? I don't remember.
28.
Is it?
Because it's day 29 that night.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just saying, we just get to merge.
That's funny.
Yeah, we just get to merge. On Australia Survivor, and we would be celebrating a finale on US Survivor.
Just needed to throw that out to everyone. It's so weird.
I'm about to say, yes, just parallel. Just look at this. Like, I really want Survivor US to go back to 30-something days, whatever it was, but whatever.
Yeah, it'll never happen. But I just looked the other day, I'm like, that's so weird to think about. But anyways, we have so much game to play, and
yeah, so, but Shawnee is very upset with Flick at this point, and Shawnee literally like, Flick is dead to me. Like she's dead to me. And Matt and Haley officially turn on the OG heroes, though Haley seems to be brewing her own storm. That's what they say. Sean still has an idol. Nobody knows about it. Blah blah blah.
That's impressive that he's kept it a secret for so long. I
Yeah.
don't remember. Do you remember if he kept it a secret in season
No, he
4?
tells Janine, or not Janine, that she was on the opposite camp.
Yeah.
Daisy tells Daisy, right?
That makes sense. Because
Yeah.
they were pretty close.
Because David and Janine talk about giving the fake one to Sean, and then blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he does in his first season confide with someone, and that might have bit him in the butt. So he's like, "Girl, this time, all to myself. I'm my number one."
Mm-hmm.
Which it's probably a good thing because I think there probably would be some expectation for him to make it a tribe idol at this point, especially with the numbers being down. Which I don't think. I think honestly, it's in his best interest to sit it out for a few episodes if he can, until you are low enough in numbers that it's a good time for people to flip to your group.
Yeah. So let's jump right into the next episode, which they call Vigilante Justice.
And it's justice for someone. I don't know who, but someone gets a vigilante justice.
Mm-hmm. So it's day 30 in Samoa, and the Powerful Alliance has taken over the Mole Mole camp. With David being eliminated, the OG heroes are stuck at the bottom at the mercy of King George and his round table of former outcasts. Sure.
Is this where they start gathering on the hammock?
Yes.
Yeah. Publicly out in the open, like putting out like agendas on the trees, probably. Like,
yeah. Scrolls were being passed around, and everybody was signing. It was you have this is how they worded it here. They said you have Shawnee and Liz, the queen and princes of the court. You have Jerry, the loyal wizard and trusty advisor. You have Matt, the plucky farm boy who left the security of the heroes for a grand adventure, and Haley, his old ally, an arrival from this old kingdom, and Simon, his sworn nemesis, who he humbly accepts as his accepted in his hour of need. Together they are the vigilantes.
Yep.
They have taken Nina's name that she wanted to name the tribe and now have commandeered it to be their alliance name.
That's so rotted of them.
That is so petty.
Okay, it's rotted, yes, but
Love
I
it.
tell you, like usually when something's funny on Survivor, it's like not haha funny. I cackled when they said, "Let's do Vigilante." I think it was
and it
Matt.
came from Matt of all people.
I lost it. I started cracking up, and I love Nina. If it had been somebody like Sam who tried to name the tribe Vigilantes, I would have laughed even harder, just because I don't like Sam. But it was so deliciously villainous. Now Matt is a villain.
Matt has taken on his role as a villain and just embraced it. It's
Can we take a second to talk about this group of 7? I know you all won't agree necessarily on all 7, but for the most part, this is such a fun group to be working together. Like I would love to see Nina in there somehow, like maybe switch out Matt
Jerry
for
Jerry
or Jerry, but like this is like a dream come true alliance for me. Like I'm so excited about it. Like
think this
energy.
I think this alliance, if they stick together, they have a really good chance of steamrolling it until they get to that 7. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think some
there's cracks for sure.
Yeah, it's cracks for sure. Because I think it's too many egos. It's too many egos and too many people. This is still a game. There's only one survivor, so the mind is going to start working with.
Right.
I can't work with this person all the way to the end. And if we get to 7 with this people, I don't want to fight.
I would like to talk about that after we talk about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like who is it most advantageous to flip? from this alliance.
I'm going to say right now it's Haley. I think it's Haley.
Okay,
With
well then we'll discuss this later because I don't think it's really a great move for her. At least not yet.
I didn't say it was going to be a great move. I just said I think she might be the one to do it. But anyway, Flick, Sam, and Sean and Nina are on the outs as peasants living under a
Tyrannical.
yes, rule. I was like, why can't I pronounce this word when I'm looking right at it? But yeah, so I'm like, y'all, like, it is what it is with this. Y'all have to figure out how to navigate now. Y'all at the bottom. Shawnee and Liz confronts Flick and their disappointment in regarding the flip, and they took the move very personal. And that's what Flick's biggest strength. Her top tier social game becomes her biggest weakness. Because I agree. I understand why they took that personal. I understand why they felt like we just went through all of this to keep you here. Only for a few hours later, not even a whole 24 hours later. Like, you literally flipped on us within 6 hours. Like,
We didn't even talk about her voting confessional when she voted for Shawnee. She's like, you made the wrong decision in keeping me.
It's like, oh my God. Like,
fast forward to the end of this episode.
Fast forward. What? I don't know. But
for most people, I think it would be easy to try to get defensive. But Flick really didn't. Like, she knew that she had messed up. She knew she'd hurt them. So she wasn't even trying to fight them on it. So I respect her for that, too.
yeah, I mean, you have to know. You have to know. You can't get mad when you made the choice to flip on somebody who literally just saved you. Like, I would take that very personal as well. I'm like, I just, like, literally almost used an idol for you. I literally went against my whole alliance for you and put my neck out for you, only for you to come back and not even give me a heads up. You don't even talk to us like, you know what, y'all, it ain't gonna work. No, you just do it under the veil of secrecy. And then I'm supposed, and then when we catch you, you like, I'm sorry, I guess. Like,
and the worst part for them was they knew, like, I'm assuming Haley and Matt told them, they knew it was Flick's idea.
Yeah.
To vote for one of them.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't her idea and she was just talked into it like they would, Sean and the boys said, this is what we got to do. And she was like, I don't have a choice. Maybe they wouldn't have taken it so personal, but the fact that she said it and she brought it up and was like, we need to split them two up after they went to bat for her, that made it very personal for them. She was trying to let them know, like, the bonds that she formed were legitimate and strong, but she just felt like she had to do this. And Shawnee was like, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to be the one to bring my name up, but you chose to do that. So that's on you. And she's just like, Flick is now on my hit list. She is my target and I want her gone. And that's just how it's going to have to happen. So the heroes try to salvage the situation. They agree that they need to find a crack. They don't know where the crack is, but they feel like Simon might be the ticket. So they need to go and talk more to Simon. I think it's going to link because y'all should have been talking to Simon like last week or the other day. You know, if you would have talked to him 2 days ago, maybe you wouldn't be in this situation. But, you know, he was the last one in with the new majority and he has every reason to flip. They were like, they don't know if it's going to work, but they go try it anyway. They're going to try to talk to Simon, which you really got nothing else, no choice to go on. But you just got to, they grasping their straws, honestly.
Exactly.
So they got to do whatever they got to do.
I don't know. I like in Simon, I think at that point he was still very up in the air. So yeah, they should have been talking to him. I agree. Like, even if you don't like him, keep talking. Even if you think he tried to screw you over, keep talking. Never stop stopping is basically the moral of the story.
Yeah, never stops. I like that. Never stop talking. Never. really nothing else really happened throughout this moment. There's just a lot of talking. So we go to the immunity challenge, and it's a endurance challenge. They have to hold up their body weight in these buckets, and they have
Mhm.
to hold it and just stand there and just hold it. Just literally, you
Pretty
stand on
classic AU style
challenge.
individual. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hold up your weight in coconuts, hold up your weight in water, hold a rope, stand there and hold something. Like very classic.
Hold something and stand there. Just be there.
Mhm.
And people are dropping, people fail, things happen, but the winner turned out to be Liz.
She looked
Yay,
so good
Liz.
doing this. Like, oh my god, like just she looked in the
Mhm.
zone. She was locked in. And when they jumped just to one hand, like she oh my god, like all of her muscle definition, I was like, damn girl, she's got this.
Yeah.
She got this so
I
good.
actually I was convinced Haley was gonna win it. The way that she was twisted, like she had one arm and then her body was twisted around, and I thought that was giving her enough leverage to keep it,
Mhm. I
and she
mean,
suddenly dropped. But
a pain behavioralist versus an
The
Olympian. Like,
Olympian.
oh,
Yeah.
true, yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it does make for an interesting matchup, though.
no, it does, and it was very compelling. And I was like, either of them could win, and would be fine either way. I
Mhm.
think.
Yep, I love them both.
Mhm.
Hmm. So once back at camp, the vigilantes convene in plain sight to deliberate their plan, their
Not even
target.
in play. They're like, "Yo, Simon, come on over. Bring Liz to. You got the cookies." Like they were like yelling orders out,
They might as well at this point.
right?
I mean, it's seven of them. There's nothing the other. Well, it's something the others can do, but
They're
we'll
choosing
talk
not
about
to.
that later. But they just they don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers to split the vote, so it has to be
Right.
seven strong, piled on. Fingers crossed, no idol is played. That's what they go do, and they put the target on. I think it was Flick from the beginning. It was just going to be Flick because that's who Shawnee wanted. That's who Liz wanted. That's who
George wanted for
George
sure.
wanted, and then
Mhm.
Simon also probably wanted Flick because they feel like he felt like Flick was coming at him and threw him under the bus for the
Mhm.
whole fake idol thing. So it was
And
going to
have
be
we even talked about how many times Flick has voted for George in their 2
Incorrectly,
seasons together? I
like
think
12
she's
times, right? Like
yeah,
7,
it's
8. I don't know.
I feel like it's at least 5 or 6 times, but
Yeah,
they've
and it all incorrectly, all
right,
of them.
right. They've just never are on the same page, and they've been part of the same tribe a lot.
Oh
So,
yeah, it's wild, but someone's got to be voting incorrectly for George for the
right.
people who can't stand him. She's a hero in my book, only for that reason.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm
Fair.
kidding. I'm
No.
kidding. No, maybe it just shows how she's a social player, but not like the greatest strategic.
No.
Mhm.
Who said it? Who said it? Who said it? She's not strategic. What?
But
Oops.
Not at all.
yeah, the heroes are looking for cracks amongst these seven people. Haley won't tell Flick a thing about their plans.
That's it.
Liz is tight-lipped with Sam, won't say nothing. George only tells Nina it's a collective group decision. That's all he says. And Simon tells Sean he might as well go idol hunting because the seven's not budging. So,
Tight lips.
figure. Yep.
Yeah.
So they go idol hunting, but Flick misses the idol
So
narrowly.
close.
It was so camouflaged too, though. Like, it
No,
is
like
the same color as a tree.
which
I
in fair. But
Yeah,
dang.
I'm gonna be very transparent to y'all. I very skimmed through this episode because I was watching it as we were about to come and record. So
Oh.
I missed that, but now I'm gonna go back and watch it and see how close she was to this idol.
Yeah.
She was like
That's
literally
crazy.
her
Um,
hand going right instead of left. Like she would have found it.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's so sick.
Mhm.
But it's still out
Oh my
there.
god. Could you imagine that would have changed everything?
Huge. Would have been
Huge.
in the back of my head. I was like, please find it. And please send George home. That's like the
Well,
whole time. That's
no,
what I was running in my head. It didn't happen, but
I
like,
mean, if she would have found it, would it have been George? You
not
think?
I don't
according
know
to
who
this
she would have.
vote.
No,
I don't
right,
know if they would have changed it knowing they had an idol to play, but
right.
Right. I don't
George
know.
was not who they voted for.
But that George, no, who got the other votes? It
It
was
was Matt.
Matt.
Hmm.
That
Well,
would have
and
been
Haley got
interesting.
one vote.
It's crazy.
So they
But
could have split their votes.
yeah, I guess they
Which
could
is
have.
smart, maybe. I mean, I guess, but I don't know.
And Sean's, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. You good.
I was just saying how Sean started debating if he should use his idol for Flick. I was like, he's not gonna use that idol.
They're not that close, I don't think. I
No,
wouldn't use if I was Sean, I'd be like, baby girl, I need to get further than you,
they sure
senor.
no, thank you. I'm sorry, love, but no,
No.
no. Yeah. So we go to tribal because at this point, Flick's fate is sealed. At this point,
Can I tell you that this is one of my favorite tribal councils ever? For nothing, no, both your faces, great. Nothing strategic or game wise.
okay.
Okay.
Why?
Cruise metaphors after cruise metaphors after cruise metaphors.
Yes, Ashley.
I was like,
Yes.
let's go. This is talking my language.
They were talking your language for sure. It was like, we're cruising. I picked the right boat and we're cruising. Like,
If you're gonna sail off without us, or come to the port of call, like I was like, oh girl, they're really saying all
now we're
these
bringing a
things.
port in here.
I was
Ashley was like,
damn.
look, the tea was 10 today.
I was like, ooh, girl.
Girl.
Like, I don't even care what happened to end the tribal. I was like, they're talking about cruising. Now they need to do a cast cruise in Australia because there's Australian cruises and I will be down there. Like, let's go.
I'll go.
Period.
Exactly.
Period.
I'm here to market for them.
Love it.
Oh, gosh. Anyways, let's get into the real stuff.
I mean, that was the real stuff, really.
Right.
There was a lot of crews talking and jumping on the right boats, and some people getting left behind off the boat because they ain't picked the right boat. You know,
more
of Flick being raked through the coals a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, they literally like, oh yeah, the Vigilantes, the 7 of us that stole your name, Nina. We're voting together, the 7 of us, the Vigilantes.
I was like, wait, the Vigilantes?
Like,
and Nina's like, not happy.
You son of a, you know
She's
what? Like, I'm gonna punch you in the face. I'm gonna punch you all. But yeah, it was.
I was hoping she would like at least laugh at it. I get like she looked a little annoyed, which is fair, but like I don't know. I just kind of wanted her to laugh.
Okay. I would have been annoyed, but I would have played it off like, really? Well, I guess I am the smartest one because if you had to steal from me, because you know.
She said, "At least the name's getting used."
Just saying. Steal from the best, I guess. You know, because you can't be original. I would have said something like that, like, but
be petty, get petty,
right? I'll give it back to you. Flattery.
Exactly.
Look, all want to be me. I understand. I would want to be me too. Period. But yeah, Flick. We don't even need to. She got right through the coals, and she got home. She got sent home too. First jury, Flick got flicked out of. And she did. She got right through because Shawnee and Liz was like still very upset, very annoyed with her, and was like,
they kept cutting to Sean's face too. And I was starting to get nervous that he was going to play his idol for her.
Me too.
And I think that's what they were trying to make us think. But like every time they were going at Flick, it kept cutting to Sean's face.
And I was like, but why? But I was like, oh, is he going to get to use the idol for her? But then I was like, but why? Why would he use the idol for her? Like,
Did you all notice this episode just had some weird editing? As far as, especially like after the immunity challenge, it really focused hard on Flick congratulating Liz. And I'm like, why are we focusing on this for so long?
Maybe they're trying to see that Flick's trying to get back on the graces and setting her up to fail, basically.
Okay.
Is my guess.
Yeah, I guess so, but it felt awkward to me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the last 2 episodes have had interesting edits for Flick. I'd say
Mhm.
of just awkwardness. So
Right.
I was here for it though. I think it's that at least we're showing people instead of just
True.
not. So
Very true.
see.
And I will say, like, this was the least eventful episode we've had in a while,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Cut and dry,
but
pretty much.
yeah. But I'm kinda conflicted about it. Like, I don't know that I want things to be too eventful because that could hurt my alliance that I like. So, like, it kinda suits me to have, like, a pagonging for a bit, but also I don't want the season to start to get stale and boring, so I don't know, I'm of 2 minds for how I want it to go from here.
Yeah, at this point, I would obviously be sad if I saw Simon leave, but I really
Mhm.
like everyone left asterisk on the cast. I don't want to, but I'd be okay with him going far. He's playing a good
Yeah.
game. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. I will
You like
raise
him
my
better
hand
this
to it.
season than
Yes,
last?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I like him. I like him at least playing with Sean. I think Shawnee of it all
Mhm.
makes him a little better.
See,
I,
That's
I I like George more now than I did at the beginning of the
mhm.
season. So, because at the beginning of the season, I thought he was just obnoxious and just
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like he's going to annoy the freak out
Yeah,
of me. I
he's
was,
more obnoxious in his first season, believe it or not, but I
yeah,
still loved him.
but yeah, I think I understand him now though. I understand why he play and the fact that he just gets people under their skin with very little work. Like he doesn't have to do anything and people are just annoyed with the fact that he's there. They're annoyed with the fact that he's speaking so he can get under their skin so easy and they just do stuff to talk themselves right out of a game and it's so it's so entertaining. It's so entertaining
Mhm.
to watch. I'm entertained by George and I think he just
He's
knows
great
how to play
TV.
this game. He's a great player. He's a great player.
Yeah.
So that's
It's rare
that.
that you find people that are so good at the TV aspect and the game aspect, and I really think he is, like, grade A for both.
I agree
Um,
because I mean I don't like I'm not like you have to be great TV to be a great game player. It's some people
mhm,
who is not really good TV, but they can play the game so well that you
right,
just appreciate them for playing a great game, and it's like
yep.
this is good.
That's
But
more how Haley is, like, Haley is not necessarily, like, the biggest TV character. She's still
hmm
very likable, but she's a great player, I think.
hmm
Um, so can we talk about who should flip now out of that
sure,
alliance? I think
um
there's 3
who
people that we
should flip or
maybe
who might flip first?
well, kinda both, we could do both, but I think we could all probably agree the original 3 Spice Girls, it really doesn't suit them to flip, at least
no.
not anytime soon. I could see the girls flipping on George at some point,
Yes.
hmm
but that'd probably be top 5 or 4.
I could say I don't know who Haley. I think the previews make it look like Haley will. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's a jump scare for the
Right.
previews or not. Trying to like just get us thinking.
hmm
I think Matt has potential to flip.
I think
He's
he
probably at the
could.
bottom.
I think Matt and Simon are the 2 that could and probably should. I think Matt more
hmm
so just to get another move out there, build up your resume.
hmm Yeah, I agree with that. I think Matt and Simon need a resume booster. And I think
Mhm.
Simon definitely needs a resume booster after the whole fake idol
Oh,
thing
yeah.
because people like to throw that back up. He needs to say, even though that happened and that was a honest mistake. That was an honest mistake on his part. He really thought he had an idol. He literally thought he had an idol. But I think if he does a flip and does a big move and can claim it as his own move, is it will be better for his resume. I agree. I think Matt and Simon probably need to flip
Mhm.
more, but I can see Haley also doing it just to give that the queen has taken down the king once again kind of, storyline.
Right. I
Um,
just my worry for Haley taking out George is that
she'll be next.
she's the person with the biggest target after
Mhm.
George. Like,
Mhm.
somehow he's managed to usurp her huge target, but once he's gone, I think all eyes are back to Haley. And she's just been in such a vicarious like position the whole season. So
Yeah.
I would not rock the boat if I was Haley. If I
Yeah.
were to flip as Haley, I would try to get rid of Shawnee or Liz.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think without them, like George, his true allegiance, I
This
think
was
is pretty torn between the two girls or Haley. So I really think she should protect George as long as she can.
I agree. If she really wants George to just fully be in her corner, she needs to get rid of Shawnee,
Mm-hmm.
and then Liz, because Shawnee I think has George closer to her, and so I think Shawnee would pick Shawnee over Haley to protect. So I
Yep.
think if Haley really wants to just keep George in her corner and have George as her full shield or protector or whatever you want to call it, she needs to get Shawnee and Liz out of there
Right.
for
I
her.
think no matter what, nobody should flip the next vote because you would need 3 people to flip to have a majority in 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be 3 of the heroes plus 3 of the vigilantes
Mm-hmm.
against 4. And okay, then you're 3 and 3. That's not good. So take out one more, take out Sam preferably, and then 3 people would have to flip. So Simon and Matt would have to convince probably Jerry to flip with them
I don't
if
see
they're going to
that
do it.
Mm-hmm.
happening.
That'd be hard.
It
That'll
I
be
would
think.
hard,
be.
especially with Sean still there.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
something I just thought about is there's going to be a stupid twist coming mid
Yes.
merge that we have to account for. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it might all
Especially
be for naught.
now that we're doing final 3s instead of final 2s, like that just adds one more non-elimination episode. And then we
Mm-hmm.
got
Exactly.
rid of 2 people in the first episode. So it's like
Yeah.
I think we've got at least a couple more non-elimination episodes to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they're not as exhausting and dragged out as last season was.
Yeah.
The Rock or wherever the hell they
Yeah.
were at. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want that. I just want them just say it's a non-eliminate. I don't know. Just don't do it. I don't want a stupid. I don't want a stupid thing.
Mm.
And I don't know. Well, that's it, y'all. I think we talked about it to exhaustion.
Oh yeah.
We're 2 hours in. We'll be back here again next week to talk more Survivor Australia. But you know what to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We are trying to up our viewerships, people. We need more people to subscribe to our channel so we can hit that point. It's a special point we're trying to get to. Y'all know what it is. We don't want to keep doing this for free, but we love it. We love it, and we'll continue to do it. But y'all know we're trying to get to a point of being monetized, so y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, share.
Get that bell ringing.
Hit that bell. Follow us on at Twitter._reality to find out when all of our videos will drop. We have everything from Drag Race to Eurovision to Survivor, Big Brother, everything. And
Drag Race.
Drag Race. Did I not say Drag Race?
Oh, I didn't hear
Did
you.
I
I'm sorry.
not? I don't know. I might not have. But Drag Race, all the drag, under all the umbrella, we have all drags. When I'm talking about Queen of the Universe and all the other stuff coming out, we have so much happening, so much content that we like, and we love giving all of it to you. So follow us, and if you just want to follow the 3 of us, our ads are down there. We're nice people. We're cool people. We talk about some interesting stuff every now and again on our own personal pages.
Yeah.
If there's a show that we don't cover that you want to cover, hit us up in our DMs. Let us know, and we can figure that out and get you on the Cup. You want to be a part of the Cup podcast team? We would love to have you. And also, again, check out the Cup merch at my Etsy shop, where we have the Cup mug, we have the Cup hats, and Cup shirts and sweatpants are coming soon. So be on the lookout for those. But yeah, that's it, y'all. I appreciate you, David and Ashley, for joining us and joining me today. More
Thanks
Survivor
for
Talk.
having me.
Oh, anytime. More Survivor Talk next week, same time probably.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
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 Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Ooh.
Ooh, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye
Bye
now.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please leave, because we're done and I'm tired.
It's been a long time. Go now.
It's been a